Hi, I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation, and you've probably been watching a lot of the videos that we produce here because it's such a different approach, and this one is no different. If you're not a subscriber, then it's really worth your while, so you could learn about real marriage and what to do in most situations. So this topic is someone who wrote in and said, my wife blames me for everything. So I am going to approach this mostly with what to do, how to respond. But I want to tell you first that there are two main reasons why we get married in the first place. And when those are in operation, which takes knowledge and it takes intention, then these kinds of things don't really happen. So those two things, the reasons why we get married, is for happiness. We wanted to be happier, so we found our soulmate and we thought, oh man, I'm going to be happy for the rest of my life, right? And the other is love. We get married out of love. But it's more than that. We don't get married because we fall in love. We get married because we want to experience that love for the rest of our lives. So what happens? Well, what happens is that we get married as if it's a ride at a theme park, or we're getting on a bus going God knows where. And we fail to drive our marriage, to be in charge of what's happening within our marriage. And so the soulmates, which you are, turns into cellmates. It's no fun to have your wife blame you for everything, right? And you have to ask yourself this question. Why is she doing this? Why is she turning the tables on you? Well, it's generally because she's in the same place you are with the marriage, unfulfilled. I mean, this is, you might say that marriage is like a living plant, and the flowers and the fruit are the manifestation of how healthy that plant is. And so when one spouse is blaming the other for everything, as you put it, it means she's unhappy. So really, if you're married the right way, you're not asking her what's making you unhappy. That's nonsense. We never know ourselves when it's deeply rooted why we're unhappy. I mean, there is a general answer, which is that we're not in touch with our soul, because its soul is ever new joy. But what's going on is she's dissatisfied with the marriage, and you are too. Let's face it, this is just one of the poison fruits coming from a marriage that's not functioning well. And I don't come from a background of psychology. I used to be a divorce mediator. Over 20 years ago, I used to help people get a divorce. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a great thing because I got them to avoid going through the court system, which is always a disaster. But then what happened was a young couple asked me to help them with their marriage rather than get them a divorce. And I thought, whoa, okay. Let me figure out marriage. And so I was a divorce mediator. Before that, I was a businessman. I've never gotten real training as a therapist, and thank God, because I don't think marriage fits in with psychotherapy at all. I mean, as a divorce mediator, guess where all my customers came from? They came from couples counselors, from therapists. And the untold secret is that if you go to couples counseling, you're on your way to see me when I was a divorce mediator, because you're going to get a divorce. So I had a whole different agenda. My agenda wasn't to have people in counseling. My agenda was to help them understand their marriage, understand themselves and each other, so that they could have the kind of marriage that we all dream of. And I developed this system, and it works very well. Now we have a course for men and a course for women. Because couples counseling doesn't work, you need to do the work individually. And you need to get to the root of what you want out of a marriage. And then focus on that. And then you could start going, okay, well, this is beneficial behavior, this is detrimental behavior. But you got to start with yourself, with understanding yourself, how to control, how to master your own mind. You also have to start with understanding marriage. What do the switches do? Where are the switches? We don't get this training. It's nobody's fault, by the way. You know, we're pretty advanced technologically. And when it comes to ecology, we're starting to understand Mother Nature better. But we don't go to school and learn about ourselves, relationships, the mind, love. We don't learn these things, and they are important. So getting back to the topic, your wife is blaming you for everything. Understand she's frustrated. Don't take it personally. Be the husband who loves her with all your heart, mind, and soul like you promised, and understand my wife is suffering. I'm not going to take this as a hit. I'm going to see this as something that's happening to her, and I'm going to compassionately love her. Now, there are some people in the world who just do that. And it's derived from the drive to survive, where the drive to survive is always telling the mind, you didn't do it. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. You know, it was the duck. It was the dog. And so if you take her comment personally, you've created a no-win situation, because you're going to become defensive in one manner or another. And then she's going to get defensive towards your defensiveness, and you're not going to get anywhere. So you have to ignore her outrage at you and love her. I mean, one, for instance, would be to say, yeah, honey, probably, but man, do you look good today. So I only use that as an illustrative example of how to step out of the way of that bullet, and don't even regard it as a bullet. Regard it as her expression of unhappiness, of not being able to communicate well with you, of not having that connection with you. In other words, work on the marriage, work on your connection, learn about marriage. Look, if your marriage is not falling apart, you're in a good place. Get one of my books so you can understand marriage more fully. And that will probably be all that you need. But if it's already gotten to the point of where you're sliding towards divorce, or you want a phenomenal marriage, get the course for men and turn things completely around. You have the right to have an expectation of your marriage that it produces bliss, marital bliss. But if you don't know what you're doing, then you don't have the right to have that expectation. Does that make sense to you? I mean, I remember a long time ago, I got this email. It was before YouTube and before Facebook and all that. And I got this email. This very wealthy guy gave his young son a high-performance car. It might have been a Ferrari. And the kid gets in it, all happy, got his birthday present. He was probably 16. And He takes off, and within 100 yards, he wrapped that thing around a tree. There was nothing wrong with the car, but he didn't understand it. He couldn't handle it. And so he wrapped it around a tree. And that's what's happening to your marriage. And look around you. It's not just your marriage. We don't have this knowledge in society. So you get this knowledge for your marriage and have a marriage that is off the charts. That's my message to you. So I hope you like this video. Leave a like, leave a comment. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation in order to show people the right way to be married, to achieve the happiness and love that is your birthright. God bless you. Thank you, and take care.